Now let's get you more on the federal election campaign this morning. And we have our reporters following both the main party leaders. In Melbourne, Anna Henderson is covering the Turnbull campaign, while Matthew Doran is in Townsville, where Bill Shorten is campaigning today. Anna, I want to start with you. So we just had Peter Dutton's announcement last night. Now, this is the first big campaign spend, almost $100 million to check some visas.
It is, Del, and it's been interesting over the last couple of days. The travelling media pack with Malcolm Turnbull have been sort of noting that there hasn't been any money promised so far during the election campaign. So it has been quite an issue for the government that so far, and look, it has only been 3 days out of 8 weeks, but so far there hasn't been any big announcement of a new election promise. So this money being announced overnight from the Immigration Minister, Peter Dutton, obviously also in the wake of what's happened yesterday with the 5 men who were trying to travel overseas to fight with Islamic State. That's obviously going to, I guess, at least colour the morning of the campaign, and it's something that the government wants to be really strong on. Economic security and national security, the two big points that the government think plays in its favour, and at the same time we've had these asylum policy issues on the other side, with Labor relatively divided, some candidates appearing to be on an off message from the opposition leader Bill Shorten. So you can see why the government wants to be playing that national security card.
And of course, Anna, things went a little bit amiss yesterday with the Turnbull government having to cancel that event in the marginal seat of Lindsay following questioning about Tony Abbott once again.
And it is hard to know what actually precipitated the cancellation of that event, because we were told by the media team travelling with the Prime Minister that the first event went over time, so he wasn't able to attend. What we had heard from the bus driver was a shopping centre walk where Malcolm Turnbull, for the first time in the campaign, was going to put himself in a really busy public place and meet voters. At the same time, Malcolm Turnbull then did go onto a train to travel back into the city. So I suppose there were no cameras on board with him at that point, but it certainly does seem that there's a bit of conflicting advice about what actually occurred. And what came just before that decision to cancel the event was that doorstop where Malcolm Turnbull and the member for Lindsay, Fiona Scott, one of his backbenchers, were being questioned about Tony Abbott's leadership, about the spill last year, and about how Fiona Scott had voted. And she, again, as she has done a number of times, refused to confirm whether she had supported Malcolm Turnbull in that leadership spill.
Now, Matthew, you're with the Shorten campaign. Now, has there been any news this morning, any reaction to this news about the disendorsement of Chris Brown?
At this stage, we haven't heard from the opposition leader, Bill Shorten, and of course this story broke last evening, so we haven't had an opportunity to put any questions to Mr Shorten, and no doubt today, as he makes an appearance, he will be asked for his opinion on this matter, with Chris Brown now facing disendorsement from the ALP because he's failed to disclose 2 police convictions from the 1980s. Now, Mr Brown says that he did tell the party about these matters around 4 weeks ago, and that a staffer within the party said that it shouldn't be a problem, but it has now reared its head again, and he is facing disendorsement as the ALP's national executive prepare to meet and discuss whether and put forward his disendorsement motion there.
And so, Matthew, where is the Shorten campaign heading today? I understand you'll be leaving Townsville shortly.
We will be leaving Townsville very shortly, heading down to the airport. No idea where we're going at this stage, but we have been told it will be regional Queensland, and I think it's indicative of the length of this campaign that Bill Shorten has been able to spend 2.5 days here in Townsville. This has been his home campus. He's made trips out to Mackay, and we started off in Cairns. It really is indicative of having the time to spend extra moments pressing the flesh with voters in marginal electorates, but also trying to campaign to take back a number of seats, because of course Labor do need up to 21 seats to form government, and a large number of those are here in Queensland. So no idea as yet where we will be flying to, but education will continue to be the theme today. Bill Shorten said to announce that $1.8 billion will go to regional schools to boost their funding there. However, it must be pointed out that this is not new money. This is simply an allocation of the already announced Gonski's school funding package. So Bill Shorten keen to emphasise there that Labor does indeed have the interests of regional Australia at heart, and promoting that aspect of its education policy, an area it really does believe that it can score a number of points against the coalition.
Certainly, we'll look out for that announcement later this morning. Matthew Doran and Anna Henderson, thanks for your time this morning.